the 91 geography chapter of the global pattern of urban change. So this is chapter 13, and this is quite a small chapter. There's only 2 subtopics in it, and we're going to get right into the video. So 13.1, the big heading is urban trends. So right now, 50% of the world's population live in urban areas, and you need to know the definition of urbanization. So what is urbanization? Urbanization is an increase of population in urban areas. So, for example, right now, half of the world's population live in urban areas. However, by 2030, that figure is expected to go up to 60%, and by 2050, it will go up to 70%. And just as I said before, this process is known as urbanization because people are populating urban areas more. Where are the world's largest cities? So, the world's largest cities are known as megacities. These are cities that have a population over 10 million, and that's why they're called megacities. Examples of megacities are basically Rio de Janeiro and Tokyo, and there's lots more, but those are the only 2. London is not a megacity yet, however, it is predicted to hit a population of 10 million by the year 2030. Why do rates of urbanization vary around the world? So, rates of urbanization differ between continents. So, the highest rates of urbanization are usually found in continents in Asia and Africa. This is because most of the people still live in rural areas. Therefore, people will be moving from the rural areas into the urban areas. And the term for this is called rural-urban migration, which is, as I just said, when people move from rural areas to urban places, and this leads to urbanization, which, as I said before, is an increase of population in urban areas, and that is called urbanization. So, in places that experience rural-urban migration a lot, they usually have experienced a natural increase, and a natural increase is basically where the birth rate is higher than the death rate, and this leads to the population growing. However, that's 13.2, I'll get onto that soon. One exception to this pattern, however, is South America, where many newly emerging economies, like Brazil, basically, sorry, I didn't explain that. So, what I mean by exception is that basically in Western countries, natural increase has gone, or shall I say experienced a decrease, because most of the people living in these Western countries, well, I really should be saying MEDCs, more economically developed countries, most people already live in urban places, therefore natural increase has slowed down. So it's kind of an expectation for urban MEDCs to not experience natural increase, or shall I just say countries where most of their population live in urban areas in general. However, Brazil, which is a country where most of its population live in urban areas to begin with, are still facing high amounts of natural increase being when the birth rate is higher than the death rate. This is possibly because it is still a newly emerging economy, and even though urbanization happened a lot earlier and has slowed down, it's still not as yet and as rich as other high-income countries such as America. Okay, so 13.2, let's go into it very quickly. How urbanization happens is the big heading, and the small headings are what factors affect population growth. So population growth, to begin with, is the difference between the birth rate and the death rate. Birth rate being the amount of people, or shall I say babies born in the year, and death rate, you know, the amount of people dying in the year. So when the birth rate is higher than the death rate, this is known as natural increase, as I said so many times. And when the death rate is higher than the birth rate, this is known as natural decrease, because the population would generally be decreasing. So what factors might affect the rate of urbanization? These include economic growth, so people may be looking for new business opportunities, may have new ideas, and want to go to urban places to pursue their dreams. Another reason for urbanization could be natural increase, which is where the birth rates are higher than the death rates. Another reason for urbanization could be migration, so people from rural areas wanting to move to the big urban cities for better opportunities in education, healthcare, maybe to get a higher salary, and lots of things like that. The population of the place to begin with also affects the rate of urbanization. For example, Asia particularly is experiencing high amounts of urbanization because most of the people living in Asia live in rural areas, and Asia has two of the world's most populated countries, those being China and India, of which have a population higher than 1 billion each. So lots and lots of more people will be moving from the rural areas in those countries to urban areas. Therefore, the rates of urbanization will be really big. Another factor that affects the rate of urbanization is how rural the place is. Because if a place is really rural, eventually most people would want to be moving to the urban places, and therefore urbanization is sped up. So where will the world's megacities be in the future? So by 2050, it is expected that the world's largest megacity will likely be in Asia, possibly China, because as you know, China is the most populated country in the world. So thank you, that's it, bye.